have to take a longer term view. Just because it's day one of the lockup expiration doesn't necessarily mean all these holders are going to continue to hold. So I think we have to look at it over a longer period of time to see whether or not some of these holders will actually sell. I mean, I can imagine situations where somebody is looking at the stock price, thinking it's undervalued, and is saying, well, maybe I can get more return if I hold on and see how this transpires, say, for the next 6 weeks or so. So I don't think this first day is any clear indicator as to the sentiment of the holders and whether or not they will actually dump their stock, so to speak, over the next several weeks.
Hello, Peter. Would you reconsider that short if Tesla and SpaceX merged?
I actually think that that's even a more confusing situation. You know, it's hard enough to talk about these three segments, right, and understand fully what's going on with the three segments. If you then add another industry to this, you know, from a conceptual basis and for when you're looking at the risk, it makes it even geometrically more complicated. So I don't think that that would be a solution. In fact, I could maybe see in the future that Starlink might be spun off as maybe the only profitable entity of the three. Now, that is a very extreme scenario, but, you know, as an analyst and a portfolio manager, you have to consider all the possible scenarios, even if you think that they're very remote. But that is one that I have thought of because when you look at these three segments, you know, that is the one that is the most grounded right now. And as I said earlier, at least has positive cash flow and has a demonstrated investor base and subscriber base too.
What do short sellers like yourself, Peter, need to see then from these key growth engines, Starlink, Starship and XAI, future growth that is, to change your opinion towards a more constructive stance on the stock?
Yes. Okay. Well, first off, you know, we didn't talk valuation, and at the IPO, the price to sales was very, very high. Now it's come down. It's still high, but relatively speaking, I think it's about 50 times. 50 times, excuse me. That is a very high valuation for a company like this. So I think if the valuation came down, even, you know, half that, it would probably gain more rational attention. But at this point, the valuation really does make you shun any logic as to how the company should work. Even if it's very successful and everything goes right, then a price to sales of 50, I mean, you're paying a pretty hefty price for that at that point.
Peter, another way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is if the stock does fall below 100, is that a buying opportunity for longer-term investors?
I think for those that are willing to go into it with a very sober view of the risk involved in this, and they would put it in their basket of the most aggressive investment, I can see that that would pass muster for some people. I also think that if we had very positive news from, say, the Starship aspect, that would encourage people because that's extremely important. And of course, if the Starlink continues then generating free cash flow, then that also will help bolster the whole business. And we haven't talked much about the AI segment, but remember, the AI segment is competing against many other well-known chatbots. And so those things are very difficult to compare. I would call it a horse race, frankly. And I'm not certain that many odds are favoring SpaceX's component of artificial intelligence at this point.